welcome to special interview. We are pleased to have retired Brigadier General and former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense to the Middle East, Mr. Mark Kimmitt. Welcome to the interview.
Thank you.
After nearly 3 years of partnership between the United States and the Iraqi government in fighting Daesh, how do you see the situation currently?
Well, I think that the entire international coalition working together with the Iraqi security forces has made tremendous progress. That could never have happened without the great work that had been done between the international coalition here in Iraq and the Iraqi security forces to put the pressure on Daesh and push them out of the country.
How do you see the future of this partnership between the Iraqi government and the international community, obviously including the US, after we almost finished from the chapter of Daesh and their terror? How do you see the future for this partnership or relationship? And can this relationship go stronger and stronger towards political and economy support to Iraqi government and the Iraqi people, obviously?
Well, I think you said it exactly right. We are now transitioning between the military part of this campaign to the economic and political part of this campaign. We must ensure that the military victory is followed on by social victory, by humanitarian assistance, by governance, by reconciliation. The military part of this campaign has been the easiest part. It has been tragic for those that have lost, but in the global sense, it's been military campaigns are the easiest part of this overall campaign.
How the United States look to the re-establishing the central government power of Kirkuk and other disputed areas?
Well, as you know, the United States and the coalition allies, and in many ways the international community, remains committed to the principles enshrined in the Iraqi Constitution. The agreements within the Constitution and those agreements that have followed from the Constitution says that in those disputed areas, the government of Iraq will have sovereignty. We would hope to see that there will continue to be joint patrolling when this current conflict is over. But clearly Kirkuk and the entire disputed regions is a situation that needs to be addressed, but that needs to be addressed in the context of an overall unified, democratic, single state of Iraq, which is what the United States, the coalition, and the international community stand behind.
On Monday, President Trump has stated on the conference, and I quote, "We are not taking sides." Is there any sides when the Iraqi government re-establishing security and implementing their constitutions on their country?
Well, let's understand what President Trump was saying. We have great friendship with Erbil and the people in northern Iraq, in the Kurds. We are sympathetic to their cause. They have been a significant part of the victories that we are seeing in the ground, on the ground, in Iraq and other Kurdish elements inside of Syria. We also remain very, very committed to our partnership with Baghdad. So we don't want to make this an either-or situation that the United States and its coalition allies have to choose between Erbil and Baghdad. It is our belief that we should be pursuing the defeat of ISIS first, using both those great forces coming out of Erbil and those great forces coming out of Baghdad as well. So are we concerned about the overall situation against Daesh? Yes, that's the first priority. Does this require both the Peshmerga and the Iraqi security forces to do so? Absolutely. Do we stand behind the principles enshrined in the Iraqi Constitution? Yes.
If we shift our attention towards the border, the Iraqi border towards Syrian side, as you know, it's upcoming battle. And obviously, Iraq and its government and its people relying a lot on their partners, friends, and allies. And obviously, the United States stand ahead of this. You believe the United States stood firm in supporting the Iraqi government, even of the complication on that in particular area?
Well, the United States and the coalition allies remain firmly committed to the territorial integrity of Iraq. On the Syrian border, that is the follow-on military operation. Clearly, we do not want to see any flow from Syria into Iraq. I know our combined joint task force that is operating here in Iraq and providing the advisors and the assisters throughout this operation are looking at plans right now on how that border, how we can help reestablish the border so that the Iraqi government, whether it's the Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Interior, whatever force will be responsible for maintaining that border. They will help define for the Iraqi Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Interior, a process for determining what's the best force that should be used to maintain that territorial integrity on the border.
As you well know, Iraq is almost finished, hopefully, with Daesh chapter, black side of our history, unfortunate.
Yeah.
We rely, as I said previously, on our friends and allies. The previous experience with the international community and American were very supportive of all aspects. Can we, as Iraqi people and the Iraqi government, rely once again on the United States, on their support to help us to strengthen our democratic system and our democratic government, and obviously in the big chapter of rebuilding the country as a whole? As you know, war after war, unfortunate situation for the Iraqi people as a whole. We don't talk about South and North.
Yep.
Everyone.
I understand.
Yes, sir.
So first I would say that we can't rest easy with Daesh. Just because they're no longer a military force, they will remain a terrorist force. And while we may not need Iraqi divisions and brigades to fight the military forces in conventional operations, there will still be a need to defeat Daesh as it moves back into a terrorist organization. That means whether they are dropping bombs and attacking civilians inside of Baghdad, threatening the holy sites, threatening the capital, threatening the people. To your question about where the coalition stands and how it will operate moving forward, in many ways that's got to be through consultations between Baghdad and the international coalition. I believe that a strong sign and strong support being offered by the government inside of Baghdad, asking for the international community to stay in one form or another, is a necessary step before the international coalition can decide what its posture will look like. First and foremost, that's the decision for the Iraqi government to make, not for the international coalition. However, if the Iraqi government reaches out and says, we want to continue this relationship, I think that most of the countries involved in the coalition will listen very carefully and make positive decisions in that regard.
If we broaden our horizon a little and we go further to the Middle East as a whole, spokesperson of the Minister of Foreign Affairs for the Russian Minister of Foreign Affairs, he announced yesterday they almost finished with Daesh chapter in Syria. With our situation in Iraq, we're almost done, hopefully, inshallah, everybody wishing for that. Do you see any stability, near stability for the region as a whole, as a Middle East, for near future?
Well, the first thing we need to recognize is that Daesh is not simply present in Syria and Iraq, but it's a regional threat. We're seeing it in the Sinai, we're seeing it in other countries as well. So yes, the situation perhaps will be more stable in Iraq and Syria when Daesh is defeated as a military force, but we can't turn our back on the fact that Daesh is a threat in other areas of the region. And let's also be quite clear, there are other forces for instability in this region that go beyond Daesh, and those are one of the reasons, those other reasons are why we're seeing such instability in the region, which I think all the countries in the region and in the international community must work together to solve.
Do you have anything you would like to say to the Iraqi people?
Well, yes. First of all, I think two things. First of all, when the Americans say they're not taking sides on this issue with regards to Kirkuk, in many ways, what that means is that we want to see a situation between the Kurds and the central government that is in the best interest of everyone inside of Iraq. In many ways, nobody wants to see a family fighting, and everybody outside in the neighborhood wants to help as they can. But I think there's a second message that I want the people of Iraq to hear. I've had many people come up to me as an American citizen, not as an official, but American citizen, and thank the Americans and the international coalition for all the support we have provided to this fight against Daesh. And what I say to them is, no, it's the international community that should be thanking the people of Iraq. The people of the international community have been providing the money, the weapons, the training, the advice. But it is the people of Iraq who have been providing the blood and the sweat. It's their sons that have been doing this fighting against this common enemy. And we need to thank the people of Iraq, the soldiers, policemen, counterterrorism service in Iraq for what they have done. Because if ISIS is not defeated here, in your country, it will come to my country. And so we are enormously grateful for the sacrifices that have been made by the people of Iraq to defeating the common enemy and making my family, my brothers, my sisters safer because they have kept the fight here rather than let it come into America. And for that, the United States of America will be eternally grateful.
Thank you very much, and welcome again to Iraq.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you so very much for your time. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time.